Next is, on the agenda is public presentation comment period. This is 20-minute time limit on this one, and at the end of the meeting, there is a 60-minute public presentation comment period. Is there anyone signed up?
Yes, sir, Mark Ecker.
Mark Eggers, 721 Campbell Circle. Mark Eggers. We've got to stop meeting like this. I'm back because you all continue to do foolish things. You've postponed the appointment of 2 new board members to the EDA Board to fill the spots of Greg Drescher and Ron Llewellyn, whose terms expired on February 28th. You have allowed them to continue to serve on the EDA Board. These 2 people need to be replaced immediately. To allow them, who helped cause the mess you are now in, to remain on the board is downright stupid. It seems that the current narrative now being proposed is that everything was Jennifer McDonald's fault and the EDA Board has no blame. That's hogwash. By the EDA Board's own admission, Jennifer McDonald worked under the direction of the EDA Board. The Board's letter of May 17, 2017, in response to my daughter's questioning some shady EDA projects, signed by Greg Drescher, right here, quote, Jennifer McDonald works under the direction of the EDA Board. She is not permitted to make significant decisions without board approval, and the EDA Board vets every project undertaken, end quote. In the same letter, we also hear, quote, the board works closely with our attorney who is available at all of our meetings to guide and ensure that the EDA is operating within the letter of the law, end quote. That would be you, Mr. Whitten. You can't have it both ways. You can't say, we approve of everything Jennifer McDonald does, and then now say it's all Jennifer McDonald's fault and not the EDA Board's. Mr. Drescher and Mr. Llewellyn signed off on the shady deals made by the EDA. They signed off on the loans and shady real estate purchases made by the EDA. And Greg Drescher signed this check, which was written to hire private investigator Ken Pullen on June 6, 2017. Here's his signature on the check, right next to Jennifer McDonald's. See what it says on the memo line? Retainer to hire Ken Pullen, the private investigator. And Greg Drescher signed this letter to the Front Royal Police Department on July 17, 2017, in which he states, quote, the EDA hired a private investigator to assist in the investigation, and we are now requesting that the Front Royal Police Department put the investigation on inactive status, end quote. Do you all think that someone who thinks it's a good idea to write a letter obstructing a police investigation has the desired qualities to serve on an EDA board? And then later, in January of 2018, when I FOIA records relating to the hiring of Ken Pullen, including payments and reports, which would be a payment, which would be this check I just showed you, I am told by Jennifer McDonald that the EDA never hired a private investigator, even though all the evidence says that they did. Right there is all the evidence you need, but there's more evidence. In interviews with Front Royal Police Detective Landon Waller on June 15, 2017, Jennifer McDonald states that the EDA hired a private investigator. On June 26, 2017, she again states the EDA hired a private investigator. And on July 3, 2017, Ron Llewellyn states that the EDA hired a private investigator. And the police reporter, Detective Waller, states that on June 8, 2017, Jennifer McDonald notified the Front Royal Police Department that the EDA hired a private investigator. And yet, when I requested over a year ago under the Virginia FOIA law, quote, any records of reports, contracts, payments, etc. concerning the private investigator that the EDA hired, end quote, I am told by Jennifer McDonald that, quote, the EDA never hired a private investigator, end quote. And in a complete completely mind-blowing email exchange when I asked which one is a lie. The letter of July 17, 2017, which states the EDA hired a private investigator, or her statement, quote, the EDA never hired a private investigator, she responds that both statements are true. And you, Dan Whitten, were copied on all those emails, as well as Greg Drescher. Where is your judgment, Mr. Whitten? Where is your oversight? Were you guiding and ensuring that the EDA operated within the letter of the law, as they stated in their May 17, 2017 letter? And now come to find out there really was a payment made by the EDA to a private investigator, information which was illegally withheld from me over a year ago when I made my FOIA request. Now, the narrative is that the EDA did not hire the private investigator and that Jennifer McDonald reimbursed the payment made by the EDA. Here's the check that she wrote to the EDA. But this raises more questions. First, this check is dated June 6, 2017, but was not deposited until August 26, 2017. So was it really written on June 6, or was it written more than 2 months later, when after realizing the hot water they were in by hiring a private investigator and obstructing a police investigation into the fake break-in at the EDA office in which Jennifer McDonald tried to frame my daughter, they had Jennifer McDonald write a check and put the date of June 6 on it to make it appear that she had hired the private investigator herself on June 6. Is that what really happened? And second, if it were Jennifer McDonald who hired the private investigator on June 6 in 2017 and not the EDA, as we are supposed to believe now, what in the hell is Greg Drescher and the EDA doing writing a check for a personal expense of Jennifer McDonald? And third, why would Jennifer McDonald sign the EDA check, there's her signature on June 6, and then sign her own check to reimburse the EDA on the exact same day? Why wouldn't she just write her own check to the EDA if she were the one hiring the private investigator? Doesn't make sense, does it? And you all think these actions demonstrate the type of thinking we want of someone on the EDA board? So no, it's complete nonsense to let Greg Drescher and Ron Llewellyn remain on the EDA board while you all twiddle your thumbs. And because you have done so, Greg Drescher has now gotten himself appointed to the EDA Budget Committee. The new interim director, Executive Director John Anzavino, who seems to be doing a good job trying to clean up the mess created by the EDA board, suggested at their meeting on February 22nd that the board appoint a budget committee composed of Treasurer Tom Pattison and one other member. Edwin Daly, the only EDA board member in the history of the EDA who was ever interviewed by you all before being appointed, volunteered to be the other member of the budget committee. But Mark Baker, who I guess we could call the Valley Health representative on the EDA board, derailed that, saying, quote, I would submit that we probably need somebody on that committee that has a history and understands what's going on or what transpired in the past. I'm not opposed, obviously, to the two members, but Ed's not going to have a full history, and I'm not sure you, referring to Pattison, have a full history either. So we have three rookies basically developing this budget. So I guess what I would suggest is, sorry, but somebody that's got some history really needs to be on that group, I would submit, end quote. What lunacy. Mark Baker thinks it's better to have Greg Drescher, who's up to his neck in this mess, on the EDA Budget Committee instead of Edwin Daly. And that's exactly what has happened due to your lack of action by allowing Greg Drescher to remain on the board past his term. And I don't know why Mark Baker would think Greg Drescher would be good on the board with his history, because he has a history of amnesia. And in an awkward exchange during the discussing the lack of progress on the IT federal project at the same meeting, we have Ron Llewellyn, who back in 2017 called my daughter for daring to question the IT federal scam. He called my daughter, quote, a wrecking ball who has done a lot of harm, end quote. He has the brazenness to say at this meeting, the last meeting, quote, I think it's time we bring them in for a conversation, referring to IT federal. What arrogant shamelessness Llewellyn and Drescher exhibit, not to mention a complete lack of self-awareness of the damage they have done. And they both want to remain on the EDA board. Unbelievable. You need to appoint two new people right now to the expired terms of Greg Drescher and Ron Llewellyn. You all should be ashamed of yourselves for allowing them to remain on the board 1 minute past their terms. In addition, you need to remove Mark Baker and Bruce Drummond because of their incompetence and lack of proper judgment. Remember, it was Bruce Drummond who congratulated Jennifer McDonald and Greg Drescher for not answering your questions back in June of 2017. The law allows you to remove them with a unanimous vote, which is what you need to do right now. Stop dragging this scandal out indefinitely. Clean house and move forward now. Or maybe you want me to come back again. Finally, you should discuss the new appointments in an open meeting. The people would like to see how you decide who gets appointed to the EDA board. Does word come down from on high? Or perhaps you consult the Oracle of Delphi. We would like to see the questions you ask of prospective candidates and the answers they give. There's absolutely no reason to have a closed meeting to vet these candidates. The law does not require it, and neither should you. And just a little postscript. Are you all aware of Kurt Tran's latest LLC? It's called Java Grill LLC, and it's a coffee shop in Old Town Alexandria that opened in January. Does anyone have any idea what happened to that $10 million loan your EDA board gave Kurt Tran? Does anyone care?
Is there anyone else?